Okay, so now we're going to get into squaring this stock up. All right, we started off over here as we talked. We have 5/8 by 3 by 2.25, but we need to get down to 2.9, and we also need to get down to 2. So if we started out with 3, we have 100 thousandths that we need to take off these edges. Here and here between the two. It's always a good idea to hit all edges because there could be some geometric issues with them. Like for instance, they may not be perfectly square. But something to take in consideration is that the bar, okay, width was here, and we call this and this the factory edge. And so we solved it over here, and if our saw isn't quite right, we could have some deformation, we could have some geometry issues with it. And if you look at this here with our square, this is what our saw is doing right now. Now it may be a little hard to see, but if I get the right angle on this camera here, you're going to notice that this thing is really out of square on that edge. So what we want to do is we want to actually focus on getting this clamped in on the factory edges in our vise and then run across the edges that we sawed. And then once we get the one cleaned up, we can turn it around and we can clamp that up, and then we can run across the other one. Okay, so we're going to do a quick calculation before we jump in to there. And so what I've decided is, in order to mill these edges, okay, I'm going to mill this edge for square, and then I'm going to check for size. And then I'm going to turn it and clamp in here once I have some good edges that I machined, and machine this side and this side in order to get my overall length of 2.9. And so to do that, I went ahead and selected a 1/2 inch 2-flute end mill. So let's check this out real quick. Remember, I talked about 200 for machining, so it's 200 times 4, which is going to be 800 divided by 0.5 equals, well, we know that it's almost like timesing by 2, so that's going to be 1600 RPMs. Okay, and let's go back to a few other things that we've looked at before, and that is we want to do about 5 thousandths per tooth, so it's chip load times number of flutes times RPM. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 0.005 times 2 times 1600 equals, whoop, I typed that in wrong, so 0.005 times 2 times 1600, not 160, and that's going to give me 16. Okay, so 16 inches per minute is how fast I can actually run that through there, okay, at that RPM. So let's figure out how long of a cut I'm going to be making. I'm going to be making a cut that's about 3 inches, so it's going to be 3 divided by 16, okay, 3 divided by 16 equals 0.1875, and that's going to be in minutes. So if I times that by 60, I'm going to get 11.25 seconds. So I'm going to be looking at 11 to 12 seconds to machine all the way across this part. Again, this is the 3-inch section. I'm going to be cutting all the way across that, and that should take me at 1600 RPMs with a 1/2 inch 2-flute end mill, 11 to 12 seconds to get across that.